In this video, I'm going to show you one of the coolest watches you can buy on AliExpress. We're going to go over the positives and the negatives, and make sure to stick around to the end to find out if it's actually worth buying. This is As Time Decides. My name is Louis. Let's get straight into it. Finding a great watch on AliExpress is a bit like panning for gold. You know there's some good stuff there, but you have to sort through a lot of shit first. From the blatant forgeries and fakes to the lame copycats and homages, there's a lot of rubbish out there. But every now and again you find a real nugget, and that's what I have found today with this watch I have to show you. First impressions are that this is a really attractive watch. It's a Pagani Design PD1785, essentially an updated version of a previous model, the PD1723, which had the PT5000 movement, but that's been ditched for the old workhorse Seiko NH35, but more on that later. The design is a rip-off of the Rolex Air-King 4820 with its 3, 6 and 9 numerals, claw-like hour markers, alpha handset and green seconds hand. It may be a copycat, but it certainly isn't lame because it looks absolutely exquisite. The branding isn't obtrusive either, with just the applied Pagani Design logo below the 12 o'clock position. The dial is protected by a boxed sapphire crystal, which sits proud from the stainless steel bezel, which is polished, and the Rolex Oyster style case. The sides of the case are polished too, and the tops of the lugs are brushed, as is the 3-link Oyster style bracelet, which provides a cohesive look. There's a signed screw down crown, which allows for a claimed water resistance rating of 200 meters. Overkill? Definitely. I know a lot of people appreciate a screw down crown, but I just find them annoying to use, especially on non-dive watches. Flip the watch over and you have a screw down exhibition case back, showing off the automatic Seiko NH35 movement. A visible movement is a nice novelty when you're first starting out as a watch enthusiast, but when you're a few years down the road like me, it's pretty tedious and a pointless gimmick really, unless the movement happens to be notably beautiful, which in this case it isn't. The decision to use the Seiko NH35 introduces two immediate downsides to the watch. The first is that it has a ghost state position. Not a massive deal, but a minor annoyance for sure. The second and much more important downside is the thickness of the watch. At around 12.5mm thick, it's just a little bit flabby. Not much of an issue if it's a diver or a chronograph, but for a somewhat dressy, everyday, go anywhere, do anything watch, it's a little bit thicker than I would like. The case is around 36mm in diameter, which means the proportions feel a tiny bit off, and certainly it's not as elegant as a vintage Air-King would actually look. As previously mentioned, the original version of this watch used the PT5000 movement, which, like the Sellita SW200, is a clone of the ETA 2824, but that was apparently ditched for cost reasons. The Seiko NH35 may be cheap and cheerful, but I think it's had its day, and I would much rather see something like the quartz Seiko VH31 used instead, which provides the illusion of an automatic watch that so many people love, but is much thinner and allows for a more elegant case. The Addis Dive AD2066, for example, is around 11mm thick, and that 1.5mm makes all the difference. The closer to 10mm, the better. The bracelet uses solid links and is adjustable with screws, which is nice to see. It's very easy to remove links yourself, which is always a bonus. The milled clasp is a fold-over style, which I don't really like. They tend to look clunky and old-fashioned in my opinion, and I much prefer the practicality of a push-button clasp. The bracelet and clasp do the job, but they're not the best. I love vintage watches, but the vintage market can be a minefield, and that's why I appreciate a watch that looks old, but is in fact modern. The PD1785 is close to being a great affordable watch, but it feels a little bit more like a part spin watch. They've gone all out on the dial and thrown it into an old case and whacked on an old bracelet and clasp. It's not bad by any means, it's still very attractive, but the devil is in the detail. At a glance it looks like a pretty decent copy of the Rolex Air-King 4820, but sadly it's just a little bit clumsy and inelegant. I'm sure with a bit of refinement it could be a home run, but it isn't quite there. In fairness, this watch only cost £55 including taxes in the AliExpress anniversary sale, so perhaps I'm being a tad harsh, and it's a case of you get what you pay for. I guess the quality of AliExpress watches has improved markedly in the last few years, and Pagani Design needs to move with the times. Is it worth a buy? Absolutely. If you love the look of the dial and the markers and the handset, 100%. But if you're looking for a cheap everyday watch and those things aren't that important to you, I would probably opt for something from Adi's Dive, but that's just me. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's all I've got time for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time.